Inside a classified testing facility, 2020, a veteran Navy fighter pilot sat in an F-14 simulator cockpit, sweat dripping down his face, his hands trembling on the controls. He'd just been shot down, again. Not by another pilot, but by a computer AI that had outmaneuvered him in ways no human ever could. "This thing doesn't fight like anything I've ever faced," he reported over the radio, his voice shaken. "It's not human. It predicts what I'm going to do before I do it." The age of AI air combat had arrived, and what happened in those secret tests would change warfare forever.
The impossible challenge. In 2019, DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, launched one of the most ambitious and secretive programs in modern military aviation, teaching artificial intelligence to dogfight against human pilots. The program, codenamed Air Combat Evolution, or ACE, aimed to answer a question that had haunted military planners since the dawn of computing. Could a machine ever match a trained fighter pilot's instincts, reflexes, and tactical genius in close-range air combat? For decades, the answer had been an emphatic no. Dogfighting, turning, burning combat where jets twist through the sky at hundreds of miles per hour, required split-second decisions, spatial awareness, and an almost intuitive understanding of physics and geometry. Human pilots spent years developing these skills. The best fighter pilots possessed what they called situational awareness, an almost sixth sense for where threats were, where they were going, and what they would do next. How could a computer, no matter how fast, replicate that? But AI technology had been advancing exponentially. Neural networks could now process millions of scenarios, learn from experience, and make decisions faster than any human. Machine learning algorithms could identify patterns that humans missed. And most critically, AI had no physical limitations, no G-force blackouts, no fatigue, no fear affecting judgment. If an AI could be taught to dogfight, it might not just match human pilots, it might surpass them. The DARPA team chose the F-14 Tomcat as their test platform. Though retired from U.S. Navy service in 2006, the F-14 remained one of history's most capable dogfighters. Its variable sweep wings, powerful engines, and exceptional maneuverability made it formidable in close combat. More importantly, high-fidelity F-14 simulators existed that could replicate every aspect of flying the actual aircraft. The AI wouldn't fly a real jet, not yet, but it would face the same physics, the same weapon systems, and the same constraints as human pilots. The AI development began with the basics. Programmers fed the system thousands of hours of recorded dogfights, teaching it fundamental maneuvers, the Immelman turn, the split S, the high yo-yo, the scissors. The AI learned energy management, how to trade speed for altitude and vice versa. It learned weapons employment, when missiles could be launched, when guns were the better option, how to position for shots while denying shots to opponents. Initially, the AI flew like a student pilot, recalled Dr. Sarah Chen, the program's lead AI researcher. It understood the controls and could execute basic maneuvers, but it had no concept of tactics or strategy. Any competent pilot would destroy it in seconds. We needed to take it from understanding mechanics to understanding combat.
The learning accelerated. The breakthrough came when researchers implemented evolutionary algorithms that allowed the AI to learn through millions of simulated dogfights. The AI would fight itself, different versions competing against each other, with successful tactics being reinforced and failed approaches being discarded. This process happened at computer speed. The AI could fly millions of simulated engagements in the time it would take a human pilot to fly a single training sortie. Within weeks, the AI had evolved tactics that surprised even experienced fighter pilots observing the development. It learned to use vertical maneuvers, climbing and diving, more aggressively than human pilots typically would, exploiting the F-14's powerful engines without concern for G-forces that would black out a human pilot. It learned to time weapons launches with microsecond precision, firing missiles at the exact moment when an opponent's maneuver left them vulnerable. Most unsettling, the AI learned to predict. By processing minute changes in an opponent's speed, altitude, and heading, it could anticipate their next move. If a human pilot began a turn, the AI would already be maneuvering to counter where that turn would end. This predictive capability gave it an advantage that no human could match. It was fighting several seconds ahead, responding not to what opponents were doing, but to what they were about to do. It was like the AI could see the future, one test pilot said after early evaluation flights. I'd start a maneuver, and before I completed it, the AI had already countered. It felt like fighting someone who knew my thoughts before I thought them. By mid-2020, DARPA believed the AI was ready for its first test against human pilots. They selected 4 pilots for the initial evaluations, all experienced Navy and Air Force fighter pilots with thousands of hours in tactical aircraft and extensive combat training. The pilots were briefed on the program but told little about the AI's capabilities. They approached the tests with confidence, bordering on arrogance. An AI might be fast at calculations, but dogfighting required judgment, intuition, and the kind of creativity that machines couldn't replicate. The first encounters. The first test pilot was Commander James Viper Mitchell, a Navy F-18 pilot with 15 years of experience and Top Gun instructor credentials. He entered the simulator expecting to easily defeat whatever computerized opponent DARPA had created. The engagement began at 10,000 feet, with the 2 F-14s separated by 5 miles approaching head-on, a classic merge scenario that would transition into turning combat. Mitchell saw his opponent on radar, close to visual range, and prepared for the merge. As the 2 aircraft passed, Mitchell broke hard left and pulled into a climbing spiral, a standard opening move designed to force his opponent to match the turn and bleed energy, setting up for a follow-on attack. But the AI didn't respond as expected. Instead of matching Mitchell's turn, it executed a high yo-yo maneuver that kept it above Mitchell while maintaining energy, then rolled inverted and pulled toward Mitchell's projected position. What the? Mitchell's expletive was cut off as threat warning receivers screamed. The AI had achieved a missile lock impossibly fast, firing an AIM-9 Sidewinder that in the simulation would have destroyed Mitchell's aircraft. Time from merge to kill? 18 seconds. That was luck, Mitchell muttered, requesting an immediate rematch. Over the next 2 hours, he flew 15 engagements against the AI. The AI won 14. Mitchell's single victory came when the AI experienced what programmers later identified as a decision loop error, a momentary glitch where it couldn't choose between 2 equally viable tactics. Every other engagement ended with Mitchell being shot down within 30 to 60 seconds. "I've flown against the best pilots in the Navy," Mitchell told researchers after the session, his confidence shaken. "This thing is different. It doesn't hesitate, doesn't make mistakes, and seems to know what I'm going to do before I do it. I'm not sure humans can compete with this." The next 3 pilots fared no better. Captain Lisa Falcon Rodriguez, an Air Force F-16 pilot, managed 2 victories in 20 engagements. Major Robert Hawk Thompson won 3 of 25. Lieutenant Commander David Ghost Wong, considered one of the Navy's most innovative tactical thinkers, won 4 of 30. His better performance coming from unpredictable, almost random maneuvers that the AI struggled to anticipate. The only way I could win was by being completely unpredictable, flying maneuvers that didn't make tactical sense, accepting disadvantageous positions, essentially fighting badly on purpose. The moment I tried to fly correctly, the AI destroyed me. It's optimized for fighting competent opponents. Fighting like an incompetent seemed to confuse it.
The horrifying implications. As news of the tests spread through the classified aviation community, reactions ranged from fascination to existential dread. Fighter pilots, the elite warriors who had dominated air combat for over a century, were being systematically defeated by a computer program. What did this mean for the future of air warfare? Would human pilots become obsolete? "We're watching the end of an era," one senior Air Force general commented during a classified briefing. "For 100 years, air combat has been pilot against pilot, human skill, judgment, and courage determining outcomes. Now we're facing a future where the pilot might be the weakest link, where human limitations make our aircraft less effective than they could be." The AI's advantages were undeniable and deeply concerning. It had no physiological limitations. It could sustain 15G turns that would kill a human pilot. It had no fear affecting judgment under stress. It never got fatigued during long engagements. Its reaction time was measured in milliseconds, not the hundreds of milliseconds human pilots required. And perhaps most importantly, it could be replicated infinitely. While training a fighter pilot took years and cost millions, copying the AI onto new systems was trivial. But the tests also revealed vulnerabilities. The AI struggled with truly unpredictable opponents. It could be confused by tactics that didn't fit patterns it had learned. And it completely failed when faced with scenarios outside its training. Novel situations requiring creative problem-solving rather than pattern matching. In one test, researchers introduced a third aircraft into what had been a one-on-one engagement. The AI, trained only for single-opponent scenarios, effectively crashed trying to process the new situation. The AI is dominant in the scenarios it's been trained for, but it's brittle. Encountering situations outside its training causes failures that a human pilot would adapt to easily. It's incredibly good at learned tasks, but has no understanding of the underlying principles that would allow it to handle the unexpected.
The advanced tests. By late 2020, DARPA expanded the testing program. The AI continued learning, incorporating data from every engagement. Researchers added new scenarios, 2-on-1 engagements, multi-aircraft furballs, beyond visual range combat with modern missiles. Each new scenario required the AI to learn new tactics, but it learned with shocking speed. The most dramatic test came in December 2020 when the AI faced a team of 4 pilots simultaneously in a 2 versus 4 engagement. The AI controlled 2 F-14s against 4 human-piloted F-14s. Standard tactical doctrine said the 4-ship formation should win through numerical advantage and coordinated tactics. The AI won 7 of 10 engagements, employing tactics that prioritized isolating and destroying individual opponents before they could coordinate, essentially turning a 2 versus 4 into a series of 2 versus 1 engagements where the AI's superior performance dominated. "It doesn't fight like a human wingman," one pilot observed. "Human teams communicate, coordinate, and support each other. The AI, even controlling multiple aircraft, fights more like a hive mind. There's perfect coordination without communication. Simultaneous maneuvers that would require extensive briefing and practice for human pilots. It's playing a different game than we are." The program then moved to testing AI against real-world tactics used by potential adversaries. Intelligence agencies provided data on Russian and Chinese fighter tactics, and the AI was trained against these approaches. It adapted quickly, learning to counter each nation's doctrine with tailored responses. Against aggressive Russian-style tactics emphasizing close-range combat, the AI learned to dictate range and use superior energy management. Against more cautious Chinese approaches, it exploited hesitation and forced opponents into unfavorable positions.
The ethical nightmare. As the AI's capabilities became undeniable, military and political leaders faced uncomfortable questions. Should AI be allowed to make life-and-death decisions autonomously? Current policy required human authorization for weapons employment, a man-in-the-loop to approve lethal force. But the AI's advantage came partly from its speed. Adding human approval would slow its decision-making, potentially negating its advantages. "We've created something that's better at killing than humans are," one Pentagon official said during classified discussions. But do we want machines making the decision to take human life? Even in war, there's something fundamentally disturbing about delegating that decision to an algorithm. The debates became heated as different military branches saw different implications. The Air Force saw potential for unmanned fighters that could outperform manned aircraft. The Navy worried about losing the cultural identity built around naval aviators and carrier operations. Special Operations Forces saw potential for AI-enabled support that could revolutionize their missions. And everyone worried about adversaries developing similar capabilities. "The genie is out of the bottle," DARPA's program director stated. "We've proven AI can outfight human pilots. Now every major military power will pursue this capability. We can slow our own development for ethical reasons, but that won't stop others. We're in an AI arms race whether we like it or not."
The future arrived. By 2021, the ACE program had moved beyond F-14 simulations to testing an actual unmanned aircraft. While details remain classified, reports indicated that AI-controlled drones had successfully engaged manned aircraft in classified exercises, achieving kill ratios that shocked observers. The AI had transitioned from simulator to reality, and its performance didn't degrade. If anything, controlling actual aircraft with real physics seemed to come naturally. The implications rippled through military aviation. Fighter pilot training programs began adapting, teaching pilots how to counter AI tactics. New emphasis was placed on unpredictability, creative thinking, and scenarios where human judgment remained superior. But everyone recognized that this was a holding action. AI would continue improving, while human capabilities remained bounded by biology. "We're training pilots for a transitional era," one Air Force colonel explained. "Right now, the best fighter pilot in the world is still competitive with AI. 5 years from now? 10? Eventually, human pilots won't be able to compete. We're trying to delay that as long as possible, but the trend is clear." The most disturbing revelation came when researchers tested the AI's learning against itself. They created multiple AI versions and let them compete in millions of simulated dogfights. The AIs evolved tactics that no human had ever conceived, maneuvers that exploited physics in ways human pilots couldn't tolerate, energy management that maximized performance beyond human capability, and weapons employment that was mathematically optimal but psychologically impossible for humans who face death with every mistake. The AIs fighting each other evolved beyond human-style combat. They developed tactics we didn't teach them, that no human would ever attempt. It's alien, combat divorced from human limitations or psychology, and it's terrifyingly effective.
The secret remains. The full results of the ACE program remain classified as of 2024. Military officials acknowledge that AI has demonstrated concerning capabilities in air combat, but refuse to provide details. Fighter pilots speak in hushed tones about the tests where computers proved superior to even the best human aviators. And adversary nations undoubtedly pursue their own AI fighter programs, though details remain unknown. What's clear is that air combat has entered a new age, the era of the fighter pilot, the skilled human warrior dominating aerial combat through training, experience, and courage is approaching its end. The future belongs to AI-enabled systems that can outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast human opponents. Humanity has created machines that wage war better than humans can. "We opened Pandora's box," one test pilot reflected. "We proved machines can fight better than we can. Now we have to live with the consequences, a future where humans might be irrelevant in the very domain we once dominated." Every pilot who flew against that AI left the simulator knowing that our days are numbered. The computers are coming, and they're better at killing than we'll ever be. The age of AI air combat has arrived, born in secret F-14 simulator tests where computers defeated the best pilots humanity could produce. The question now isn't whether AI will replace human pilots, but how quickly, and whether humanity will maintain control over the weapons systems it has created. The answer will determine not just the future of air combat, but the future of warfare itself.